It wasn't just Zionist forces alone that did this job. They had the assistance of Italian radar. They had the assistance of Moroccan radar. And they had the assistance of the American installations inside Tunis of a radar nature. Therefore, it was an international imperialist assassination. That's the first thing we must understand. The second is why, on this occasion, our brother was so guarded so lightly. 2 guards and an old man, an old gardener, in a situation in which the most tremendous mass movement of social revolutionary character is looked upon as that. All the masses are involved. And when all the masses are involved, the Palestinian masses are involved, it's a social revolution. And history teaches us this, that when times when you're leading a socialist revolution, that the imperialist world will seek out your death. And if Lenin had to go into hiding 3 months between July and October in the Soviet Union, before the October 1917 revolution, it was because, and other leaders of the Bolshevik Party had to go into hiding, it was because the enemy always strikes at the leadership. He always hits out at the leadership. Therefore we must say that what is going on in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank is a social revolution, not just an armed confrontation with naked fists and stones and everything else. And the Zionists know that. That is why they had to kill Abu Jihad. Schultz was in on this. When Schultz came on his last 3rd mission, so-called peacekeeping, probing, he actually came to organize and to encourage the Zionists, Shamir, Perez, all the rest of them, to kill Abu Jihad. Schultz was in it right from the beginning. He had no other purpose to come in the Middle East. Assad told him to belt off. Even the king told him in Jordan to get off. But then why did he come? There was a big issue on the way. Because if you kill the Palestinian leadership of the PLO, then you automatically try to force some sort of an agreement down the throats of others. And we might say that it's not only Abu Jihad, but Arafat, who is now in greatest danger, and all the leaders of the PLO, they're in the greatest danger. These other great changes are taking place in the Soviet Union itself, where you have a political revolution underway of a massive character. That's the content of perestroika and glasnost. That is its content, a political revolution. And I'm one of those who have fought for this political revolution for 52 years, ever since I was expelled from the Communist Party of Great Britain. I've fought for this political revolution, and it's now underway. And it interacts not only with the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, it interacts also with events in Afghanistan and the withdrawal of Soviet troops from Afghanistan and the clearing of the decks for the rights of nations to determine their own destiny. One of the greatest martyrs, whom I had the pleasure of personally knowing. I first met him in 1976, April 1976, in the Bekaa Valley. Behind him was the Syrians moving over the borders into Lebanon. And in front of him were the Christian Maronite Zionist fascists. And he was fighting under conditions of a confined and very secluded area, really, a dangerous area. On a number of occasions, opportunities to lecture graduates that came from the colleges, the military colleges of the PLO, on materialist dialectics. as a method of thinking, as a method of organising the revolution itself. So we know our brother, and he was not just a national leader, he was a great international leader.
On an occasion like this, always a danger to concentrate on the history of the past. We cannot relive that history again. What is past is now in our abstract memory, but we do not proceed with chopping history into a series of quotations to prove points. The moment we do that, we transform history into dogma and the stereotypes that flow from dogma. We must start always from the present. Therefore, then, we have to understand that the history we're dealing with is in a state of becoming, and that the enormous development since the 27th Congress of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union in April 1985 are now there for all to see, an enormous achievement. And we are very pleased to establish the closest relations on this basis, on these achievements. Not that the achievements are complete, because when we're talking about history in a state of becoming, we talk about history continuously changing. There is, in this process of becoming itself, two moments. A moment of arising and passing away. And if you are familiar with Lenin's philosophical notebooks, this matter is dealt with very thoroughly. Arising and passing away. And consequently we're concerned with the arising. What passes away into the past becomes objective history. It cannot be remade according to what people would like it to have been. We can't discuss history on that basis. Therefore, when we're talking about the present situation, we're talking about the constant movement and change that is now taking place within the land of October itself. And we're starting with that, because we support it completely. We support it politically. Every inch of ground that's won for perestroika and glasnost is not a Russian question. It's not a Soviet question. It's a world question. It's for all of us. And we have to approach it this way. We can't be spectators in this scene. When we are speaking, therefore, of problems that arise when we chop history into quotations, we must also make our contributions to avoid these problems that have taken place in the Soviet Union ever occurring again. But we can't take an abstract decision on that, because we're dealing with living forces. I noticed Dr. Sakharov said that there is enormous power now vested in Mr. Gorbachev. But I would say respectfully to Dr. Sakharov that this is an entirely a transition process, and power has to be vested, but the power has been offset by the constant campaigns, the constant struggle to educate the rising Soviet intelligentsia, and especially an enormously important historian element in that intelligentsia, scientists and everything else. That is the only way this thing can be approached. There are no such thing as historical guarantees